Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much again for tuning in. My name is Bondoza the Builder. I'm a certified life coach. I'm also an author, an award-winning author. I'm also a publisher. I'm also an entrepreneur. Thank you so much again for tuning in. Thank you so much for taking time to watch this broadcast. They mean a lot to many people and to me too, because as I say certain things, I'm also learning from you. Thank you so much for everything that we have done. And this is our, I think, 10th episode or 10th broadcast since we're going on. We are always saying the marathon continues and the marathon continues. And bring your paper and pen and let us build together one brick at a time. Bring your paper and pen and let us build together one brick at a time. I feel a bit fluid today, but I hope you're gonna hear me. I'm not gonna waste any time today. We're just gonna go through what I want to share today. Today, I want us to talk about the importance of building through courage. It is important for us to understand that in order for us to build anything sustainable, for anything that needs to be built, we need to build it through courage. We cannot exempt courage in anything that we do. Why? Because as you build as a person, whether you are building a business, whether you are building a family, whether you want to build your finances, in all the things that one wants to build, you always gonna need courage to build. We cannot build outside courage. Why? Because in anything that we are trying to do and trying to build, there will always be opposition. Anything that's trying to oppose us, anything that's trying to distract us to build and to get where we need to build. So today we're talking about building with courage. In other words, that whatever that you are trying to get to, wherever you're trying to get to, you're gonna need courage as an ingredient to build whatever that you need to build. So today I want us to talk about building with courage. Building with courage. And someone can ask me, what is courage? Courage is simply you having to do something even when you are frightened. When we are frightened to do something, but we have a courage to stand. We call that you are a courageous person. When even when we are faced with adversities, when we are faced with challenges, when we are facing grief, when we are facing pain, but we are able to stand, we are able to sustain that, you are able to stand until you see yourself through. We call you a courageous person. So today I want us to talk about that, the importance of building with courage, that we can never build anything sustainable outside courage. We need courage to build, whether it's a business, whether it's a family, whether it's at our working environment, wherever we find ourselves in, we need courage to build anything sustainable, right? So like I said, courage is the ability to do something even when we are threatened or when we are frightened. And the other definition of courage is the strength in the midst of pain or grief. You see, so courage is something that forces us to stand even when we are faced with difficult times, even when we are faced with difficult situations in our lives. But when we are standing, when we are faced with difficult times, but we are able to stand, it simply means that we are courageous people, right? So I want us to understand that today, courage is aligned to one thing. Courage is aligned to something called a decision. When you decide in the midst of trouble, in the midst of storm, in the midst of things, when you decide to say, I'm going to stand, I'm going to be courageous. When you decide like that, suddenly courage comes on you. Suddenly courage comes. Why? Because it is important for us to understand that when you decide to stand, that's when courage comes. We don't just become courageous by accident, but courage comes when we decide to be courageous. Whether you're in a relationship, whether you want to build a business, anything that you want to build, I want us to understand this morning that you need to decide so that courage can come. In other words, that we are the people who have to invite or allow courage to come on us by deciding to stand whenever things are not even going on our way. Because I can tell you that anything that you want to build, anything that you are doing, you're going to be faced with opposition. You're going to be faced with uncertainties. You're going to be faced with people who don't believe what you are doing. You're going to be faced with people who are saying, my sister, this thing is not going to work. My brother, this thing is not gonna work. But you need to be courageous. Why? Because courage, we call you courageous because you were able to stand in the midst of trouble. You are able to stand in the midst of a storm. You are able to stand and take everything in because you believe that, sometimes you are the only person who sees what you see. That's what we call a vision. Sometimes you are the only person who can see the vision. You are the only person who can have or see the end goal. And people around you don't see that. That's why I've learned to not get angry when I'm trying to sell an idea to people and they don't understand it or they don't get it, I've tried not to get angry. Why? Because they don't see it. But when you see it and when you understand that you are the only one who's carrying that vision and you can see the end goal, you will continue to be courageous. Why? Because you can see and you know the end goal. So today I want us to understand that anything that you are building, anything that you are trying to do, anything that you are starting to do, be a courageous person. Why? Because outside courage, you can never achieve anything great. Outside courage, you can never do anything. You see, courage needs to be sustained. You don't have courage today and then tomorrow you don't have courage. Courage needs to be sustained. You need to sustain your courage. Why? Because you see, I can tell you now, if you are not a courageous person, it simply means that you are discouraged. Those are two ways that work together. When you are not courageous, you are discouraged. If you are not courageous, automatically I know that you are discouraged. So for us to be encouraged and to have courage in order to build whatever that we are building, we need to take out discouragement so that we can be able to build with courage. And building with courage, like I said, it's important to understand that we must have a never dying spirit. You go on, you keep on going, you keep on believing. Why? Because you always start with the end in mind. You always see the end in mind. You always have the end in mind. That's why you can stand and still be courageous. All the people that we admire, all the people that we look up to, all the people that inspires us to do great things, they are all courageous people. They are all people who have sustained their courage, not one day, not 1 minute, but every day they go with a new mentality to say, I can do this thing, I can achieve this thing, because I've seen it here. That's why vision is important. And that's why I said, we don't have to be angry sometimes when we are trying to sell our vision to other people and they don't get it, because we are the only one who's got the end product in mind. And sometimes when you have to sell that to other people may run away, other people may not be part, or they may not want to be part of what we are trying to do. But today I want us to understand that outside courage, we can never build anything. We need courage to build. We need that force that allows us to stand even in difficult times, to say, I can do this, I will do this. Whether it's a business, whether it's a marriage, whatever that you are trying to sort out, whatever that you have an end goal with, please don't give up. Why? Because when you employ courage, when you have courage, you can be able to achieve anything that you want to achieve. That's why I said to us that courage needs to be invited. And how you invite courage is when you decide to say, I don't want to give up. Immediately when you decide to say, I don't want to give up, courage comes on you. Courage comes on you. Courage comes on you, and you are able to stand. And people will ask, but how did you do that? Why were you so brave? Why? Because you made up a decision and you made up your mind that I'm gonna see this thing through. So one of the definition of courage is to be brave. This life needs us to be brave. Whatever that you are trying to do, you're not gonna build it with your emotions. You're not going to do it because you're an emotional person. Anything that you want to build, whether it's a business, like I said, whether it's a family, whether it's a marriage, anything that you are planning to build, you can only build it through courage. You can only build it through bravery. Why? Because you're forever going to have people who are going to discourage you. You're going to have people who don't believe what you are doing. You're going to have people who are naysayers. You're going to have people who are opposing what you are trying to do. So that's when courage comes in. Why? Because all the time when you are building something, all the time when you are establishing something, you must start that thing with the end in mind. You must see it. I always say this: don't build anything if you haven't finished it. I'm going to repeat that. Don't build anything or don't start anything that you haven't finished. And what do I mean by that? Anything that you have to build or that you want to start, everything must start here. Start finishing it here in your mind and see it happening and see it done. See yourself on top of the summit. Then you start. Why you do that? Because trouble will come. Opposition will come, naysayers will come, and immediately when you have done that, nothing will stop you. And that's how courage comes. That's how bravery comes. That's how you're gonna stand, and no one will understand. But why you keep on doing this thing, Vanessa? Why you keep on doing this thing? You know, what makes you to hold on? Why? Because you have seen the end in mind. You have the end in mind. You have seen this thing before you pursued it. So it's important for us to see everything that we are trying to pursue. We must finish it here first before we start it, so that we can have courage when we face opposition, when we face people who say, Amfana, you cannot do this, when we face people who are saying, we will see, so-and-so tried this thing, but it didn't work. So today, I simply want to encourage us that anything that you want to build, anything that you want to see and do and finish it, Build it with courage. You cannot build without courage. Courage is important to have. Why? Because there will be a time where there will be no people who are clapping hands for you. There will be no time. There will be a time where you're not gonna have cheerleaders, people who believe in what you do. But because you're a courageous person, because you started with the end in mind, you're gonna be courageous and finish everything that you start. So today I want us to encourage us to say, have courage, man. Stand. If you have decided to do something, don't give up on it. Continue to do it. It is possible. It can be done. And I can tell you now that build everything one brick at a time. It is possible. It can be done. Don't lose hope. It is possible. It can be done. My name is Bondoza the Builder, and I am building. Keep on going. Have courage to build, and you'll get where you need to get, and you'll get what you need to get. My name is Bondoza the Builder, and I am building. Thank you so much for tuning in. See you on the next broadcast. Peace.